you can, we just started the recording. We do want to welcome everyone again tonight. I know we will have a few more people coming on, but we want to start on time and end on time. So let us bow in a moment of prayer. God of grace and mercy, God of justice and peace, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together. We thank you for your calling of justice workers into this world and into this community. We pray that you will continue to give us the knowledge, the strength, and the power to do the work of justice. Now we pray for your presence and your guidance in this meeting. And we pray that all that we will say and do will be to your glory and for the sake of justice. Please accept this our prayer as we offer it in your majestic name. Amen. I want to take this opportunity to see if there are any persons, if this is your first time attending our monthly board and membership meeting. If there are some new persons, you can give your name and any organization or congregation or union that you represent. Okay. It appears we have no new persons tonight, but again, if we have the opportunity again, we might be able to give you. Does someone have someone? I hear someone.
Yes, I'm Juanita Adams.
Okay.
And, I am just a resident of Nashville and a public school teacher.
All right, thank you for coming on. And please come every second Tuesday at the same time. We will be here. Any others? Again, we thank everyone for coming, especially tonight. And we do ask if you aren't speaking, please mute. Or administrator will be able to mute you. At this time, we will take a motion. If someone will make a motion to approve our last board minutes.
Paula Coleman, I move the approval of the board minutes from April 2022.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we will approve our board minutes of April of 2022. All in favor, you can raise your hand or you can say aye.
Aye.
It's been approved. At this time, we will call for our financial report from Bill Howard.
Thank you, Reverend Thompson. We have a tight schedule tonight, so I'll just say that we're making good progress with our bookkeeping firm, and I'm going to post the income statements for the first 4 months of 2022 in the chat if you want to download those. And also we have a budget committee meeting scheduled for Thursday evening this week. So we've been basically operating as if we were on a continuing resolution because I've had some complications in my life. But that's my report for tonight.
Okay, and Bill, you have a few moments if you want to make a pitch for our dues and application and the conflict of interest.
Yes, that's sort of my traditional role is to remind people that their organization's dues are good for 1 year from the date of the last dues. And I will be sending out invoices for those that are late or coming up very soon in the next couple of days. In order to be in compliance and to avoid attacks by our sometimes enemies, we need to be conscientious about submitting conflict of interest forms. they are available on the NOAA website. And so please take care of that. And every year we need to renew our membership forms so that we have those current. If it's been more than a year since you sent in a form, we need one current so we can know who the official representatives are.
Bill, I just put a link in the chat, Bill, that will take people to the membership form as well as the conflict of interest forms.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Who is informed if you're not up to date on that? Is it a clergy person at your church, or how does that work?
Generally, either one of the official representatives from your organization or the lead clergy or executive director of an organization would complete that form. And it needs to list all of your official representatives.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And if there are anyone on, if you interested in your organization, just put your name in the chat and we will certainly call on you. So just put your information in the chat and we will contact you. This time I'm going to call for the campaign coordinating committee, Ron Hetty and Regina. They are ready. And so at this time, we will turn into their hands.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Thompson. And good evening, everybody. We are ready to talk to you tonight about a moral budget, to give you a little report on where we are. So our dive tonight actually has two parts. One is this presentation, which we're going to be giving for about 20 minutes. And the purpose is to share some things with you tonight. First of all, what is our perspective on a moral budget? The task force requests for the budget that's coming up for 2022-23, and our launch, that is how we are going to make this public. There will be a request that we make for some commitments from each one of you, and there will be a 30-minute breakout session for task forces to meet a little bit later. So this journey that we've taken started when the campaign coordinating committee asked the task forces to identify their funding requests for the budget. And we asked them to be this year as specific as possible and give us dollar amounts so that we could compile an overall unified NOAA statement instead of starting off with individual budget requests. When we got those, the campaign coordinating committee, that's Regina and I, along with the task force chairs and our organizers and Reverend Thompson were included in these conversations. And we got together and we talked about these questions. So why are we, NOAA, asking for these pieces of funding in the first place? Why are they so important to us? And how do these individual requests represent NOAA's mission and goals? And after some lengthy conversations, we came up with our answer. And this statement is the one that we believe we can begin all of our conversations about the budget with. Let me back up. Moral budget shows who and what we value as a city. It directs resources to protecting and improving the lives of our most needy and vulnerable citizens, and addresses elements of systemic racism and social economic inequity. So that's why we are asking for these items. This is the NOAA request for items to appear in the Metro budget. And here I've just listed each task force's requests, but in a minute we will break those down and see what it is that each group has identified as its priorities. And it's a big number down here. And the encouraging thing is that when the mayor gave his State of the City speech not long ago and introduced his budget, many of these items appear in his budget too, his proposal. We're not sure about the exact amounts. We're not sure that all of our amounts coincide with the ones he's requested, but we have a place to begin these conversations. So these are the requests from Economic Equity and Jobs. Maura Lee is going to tell us why these are such important requests from NOAA. Are you there, Maura Lee?
Unfortunately, Maura Lee had to be away tonight.
Ethan, I'm here for this part.
He's
Thank
here.
you.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. And Ethan's going to help lead the task force breakout for me in a minute because I am sitting in my car at the school board meeting. Because what you see on here, one of our asks is about the support staff pay scale. Last year, our teachers got a really significant raise, which is fantastic and well-deserved. On average, they got about a $6,000 a person increase. Our support staff did not last year, and we agreed to have the teachers go first. This year, however, we're asking for a significant increase for our support staff. Many of them predominantly are women and people of color. So holding true to NOAA's desire to also dismantle systemic racism, we know that poverty is bound up in that as well. And this is working poverty. Folks that have full-time jobs that are making less than $35,000 a year here in Nashville. So we are asking for the support staff pay scale to be looked at. We are also asking for 5%. A COLA is a cost of living adjustment. So this isn't a raise. This is just to hold even with inflation. And if any of us are watching those numbers, we know that 5% is even a little bit lower, but that 5% is to hold with inflation. And then our other ask is that y'all are seeing all this information about the Titan Stadium and all that money going to build something new. We are requesting that that severely be slowed down until there's a community benefits agreement that will be tied in with any construction going on over there. So I know we have a short.
Well, you muted yourself, Maura Lee.
Sorry, I was saying I tried to answer that quickly because I know we don't have a lot of time and that we are supposed to go on.
Yeah, thank you. So affordable housing has a somewhat longer list. Kay, will you explain why these numbers are so important for our NOAA mission?
Thank you, Ron. Well, beginning with the Barnes Fund, we've been asking for several years for a base of $30 million a year, which is woefully behind other cities, but it's a pretty good start. And we also know that it looks like the mayor in this year's budget that he presented is going to get pretty close to that when it includes a payment in lieu of taxes that our Music City Center, Convention Center makes to Metro government in lieu of paying taxes. Two of the items, the senior housing coordinator and the Silver Nest software, have to do with pretty serious housing needs that our seniors are experiencing. We know that over 53% of our seniors are housing cost burden, and I think in the neighborhood of 30% of homeowners. We also know that we have a large unhoused population that needs housing, but in addition to that, for them to be able to really reach a place where they can retain housing that they have and really be financially stable, they need someone to walk alongside them. In other words, in the industry, it's called social services or case management. So that's why that ask is $15 million, because we know from a study, from studying the industry, that it costs about $6,000 a year to provide that service for one person. So we took the point in time number, which is a count that's done once a year by volunteers in the city, which is about 2,000 people, and multiplied that to get with that number. So the fact of the matter is housing and housing instability hits people of color the hardest. And poverty hits people of color the hardest. And the data and research shows this. And our mission as NOAA is to tackle and combat racism wherever it exists in our system. And this housing need is a basic in order for people to thrive and not just survive. A fit home is an affordable home is basic. And that's why we believe that our ask line up with NOAA's mission.
Thank you, Kay. Criminal justice has one big idea that they want to promote. Jane, can you help us understand how this fits with the NOAA mission?
HEALS is an acronym for Health Engagement and Liaison Services. We in Criminal Justice Task Force have adopted that program, that potential program, as written up by Elliot Pinsley from the Behavioral Health Foundation and endorsed by us and in collaboration with us over the last couple of years. We are trying to find a partner who would actually funnel those funds into an operational program. In other words, implement the program. And we're still negotiating with some agencies about that. So we don't have a specific agency that would implement the program yet, but on the horizon are a couple potentials, one of which is the technical assistance grant that the city obtained from SAMHSA. That's a federal program. And we're working with the health department on trying to see if HEALS might be the program that they feel would work for that. The budget number that you see there, the 1,151,800, is a number that the Cahoots people in Eugene, Oregon, who've been doing this for 30 years, they helped us come up with a budget for Nashville that would make more sense for Nashville. So that's where those numbers come from. Berkeley Allen, who is the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee for the City Council, is in possession of that budget. She will push for that in City Council. We have at least 17 council people who were supporting of this last year. And we hope to get just 4 or 5 more, and we would have that in our in a working budget that we would then be able to actually put into some operable program once we identify an agency that's willing to take on the day-to-day operations of that program. So this is important because what's happening now, which is called Partners in Care, only operates in Hermitage and North Nashville. Hermitage is by and large receiving more phone calls and more home visits from the mental health co-op and the police department than North Nashville. Actually, the calls have dropped each quarter that Partners in Care has been in operation. I was at a Partners in Care third quarter report meeting last Thursday at the North Precinct. And several people besides me have questions about why those numbers are dropping. The public defender is concerned about it. The Family Safety Center is concerned about it.
So Jane, can I
So in other
interrupt?
words, we are not the only people who are questioning how Partners in Care is not the program that the city needs. HEALS, we feel, would be much more preferable because it's a community grassroots program that would be supported by the community and cost
Great.
a lot less money than what Partners in Care is having now.
Great. Thank you, Jane. And finally, here is the education request. Notice that these numbers that are in italics down here are not actually from our education task force, but the MNPS board created a menu of requests, and we, the education task force, supports those. But Liza is going to tell us about why these top 2 are so particularly important and why we're supporting the other 4. Liza?
Thank you, Ron. The longest standing goal of the Education Task Force has been to end the school to prison pipeline. And our goal for doing that is to end the racial disparities in discipline in MMPS, in our public schools. You may be aware that over 3.5 times as many Black and brown children get suspended or expelled from school as white children. So it's a big problem. Now, the solution, I think, lies somewhere around this old adage. Many of you may know it. When a child can't read, you teach. When a child can't multiply, you teach. When a child can't swim, you teach. When a child can't behave, you punish. So that's the problem, okay? That right there is the problem, and that is really everything in this budget is geared for teaching children how to behave, how to live in community, how to be around others, and how to manage their own big emotions. Advocacy centers are already in place, which is the biggest win in years, but we want them to continue. Advocacy centers with advocacy coaches are in every single elementary school in Nashville, and we want that to continue. What is not yet in schools is restorative practice coaches, RPAs, restorative practice assistants, in all the middle and high schools. Those are scheduled to be in the budget and be implemented in all the middle and high schools this coming year. But there again, it's something that needs to stay in the budget and be continued in the budget going forward. Every single one of these other things also address basically the same problem. Counselors, social workers, trauma-informed schools, and family support. So the goal here is to end the racial disparities in discipline in MMPS, and this is the budget to head us in the right direction on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliza. So that is the core of our campaign. But how we are going to make this public, we are having our internal launch right now. This is the explanation of what our budget requests are, why they are so important, and what action steps that we are going to be taking. The next step is a formal public launch, which will take place next Tuesday night, May 17th. What we want are for NOAA speakers during the public comments period at the Metro Council meeting to introduce this idea of a moral budget and our examples of what one might look like. Marlee is going to organize and support that for us, and we'll talk more about it in a little bit. We are also going to ask NOAA members to show support for the moral budget. And this, we know that many of you have felt overwhelmed at our last few meetings with all of the things that we have been asking people to do. So tonight, we are asking either or. Will you commit to doing one of these two things? Then there will be a general public launch that can start happening right now, as a matter of fact. We envision it looking like this. NOAA members will spread the word among their member groups, that is the organizations that you are all representatives of, and that you will contact, along with your friends, your Metro Council members, to let them know how important this is. We have some guiding questions to help with those conversations, and there will be a suggested message that is available next week at the time of the formal public launch. Our general public launch will look more like this. As a representative of your member organization, will you organize and or lead a conversation or discussion about budgets as moral documents? This groups can be large or small. Consider that this conversation should be brief, 15 or 20 minutes, so that you could have it before or after or between sessions or services at your place of worship. It could take place in your neighborhood, in your community. focus on the NOAA priorities as examples of what a moral budget could look like. And please, when you do that, take a picture and send it to Mike for our social media blitz. It could look kind of like this. I tried this whole thing out last Sunday with a group that I meet with monthly here in my neighborhood, and we support a moral budget. And I've even turned that into my background for tonight. So when you go into your task force breakout sessions, we are asking that you accomplish these things. Please identify 2 members who are willing to speak during the public comments period at the Metro Council meeting next week. We don't know if we will get them all on the list, but that is our goal. The second thing is to commit to either attend the council meeting to support or to support the budget, not as a speaker, but just to be there in support of the people who do. So that is one of the choices that we have offered for you. The other choice is to organize or participate in a conversation about the moral budget, the what that might look like, and spread the word. I talked today with the people from Moms Demand Action, sharing with them our idea of the budget as a moral document, that it's language, that the more we can spread it around, the more people can focus on values. As our statement says, we want a moral budget that shows who and what we value as a city. We will eventually ask everybody to please try to contact your council members, asking their support. And in your breakout session tonight, we have some questions just for you to try out, to see how they sound, if you would feel comfortable using them as guiding questions in those conversations that you have, and any other task force business that you can weasel into that 30 minutes that you get. So as Bill said at the beginning of the meeting, we're on a tight schedule and my time is up. So Mike, do you want to send us off to our task forces? I will put the guiding, or no, Mike's going to put those guiding questions into the chat. So they'll be there when you get into your task force group. And I thank you all again for your attention.
And Mike, right before that, before we go, yes, we do have our banquet, and we have a young adult caucus want to make an appeal to us. So first, we're going to call on our banquet committee at this time.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Your banquet committee, which consists of Reverend Thompson, Mike, Brian, Gladys Ketry, Cheryl Majors, Linda Brown Safor, David Metters, Reverend Seabury, and myself. We have been meeting weekly and we're making great progress, but we need you. First of all, the banquet will be held July 21st, which is a Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in the Music City Center. The theme of our banquet is On the Road to Justice. And we're very excited about that theme. In addition, we have sort of a tagline that says, charity is a way station on the road to justice. And that's by William Sloane Coffin. We have not had a banquet in 2 years. And at the last one, we had 400 people. So we want to definitely meet that goal and or exceed it. For the first time, NOAA will be having honorees. And our honorees this year have several things in common. First of all, they are elected officials. They both have served about 3 decades or 30 years, and they both are retiring. And those honorees are Congressman Jim Cooper at the national level, and locally, Senator Brenda Gilmore. I know we are excited about these 2 wonderful people, and we're going to tie in how their careers have impacted NOAA's issues. We also have a wonderful, wonderful surprise, a new person that you may not know for our speaker. He's a young man under 30. He has been described as the next Martin Luther King. He has been described as a social justice advocate extraordinary, and his name is Justin Pearson. He is a co-founder of the Memphis Community Against the Pipeline, MCAP, and they were the ones who worked tirelessly to stop the pipeline that was coming through a predominantly Black, underserved, and underinvested neighborhood. They were so successful that our wonderful General Assembly, before they adjourned, passed a law, preemption rears its ugly head again, that does not allow local governments to have any say, basically, in what pipeline oil and gas companies do with regard to pipelines in their communities. He is an outstanding young person. He's also a member of the Poor People's Campaign. We also have a wonderful selection of musicians. Our own member, Ed Branding, will be providing some music. Wendell Bigsby, who is known for R&B, blues, funk, and pop, and Reginald Green will be his accompanist. Now, what is the purpose of the banquet? Sure, it's to fellowship and have a good time, but the primary purpose is to raise money. And we know in NOAA, people, we need money and we need people or power. So those are the two things that we're going to be doing. How do we raise our money? We raise it through ad books, ads, we raise it through sponsorships, we raise it through ticket sales, and we raise it through our donations and purchase of tables. The tickets for the banquet are $100. We are also considering, at the suggestion of our treasurer, that we probably ought to look at helping our members participate. And we're considering and working out the numbers in terms of possibly a discount. More will be coming on that, but we need your help. We need to know the organizations, the foundations, the corporations, where you have contacts that we may talk about investing in Nashville. We have two particular things that we want to get out of this meeting tonight. One is we need a committee, because the 10 people whose names I told you, we're doing lots and lots of other things. And we have to stay focused on the banquet, but we need help in terms of sponsorships. We're gonna have a training and we're gonna be calling and we have a list of about 25, and we want to more than double that of we will be calling to get sponsorships and ads from. Remember, not only is this to benefit NOAA, but we are paying tribute and saying thank you to these two tireless leaders. So I'm sure there's some people who just want to send a message of appreciation to them. I think that's about all. I don't want to take up too much time. I don't know if there are any questions, and there may have been some in the chat. We now have a draft of our solicitation package. We do have information about the ads and their costs and their sizes. The Banquet Committee meets every Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we will finalize all of this. And we really want to, as Ron was talking about, go live. We want to go live starting next week, and we need your help. If you are interested in working and have skills and interest and passion and believe in NOAA and appreciate the work that our two honorees have done, please sign up. You can write your name in the chat and we will be in touch with you before the end of the week. The second thing we need is, if you have any experience and appreciation for effective utilization of social media, promotion, advertising, etc., we need a group to focus on that. We're doing things not differently, but we're doing some things that we haven't done before. And we're also having honorees is new. Finally, we had talked about having honoring people associated with our issues. The committee deliberated and talked about it a lot and reached the conclusion that our task forces are really, really busy now and work that will have an impact on our community. So we are postponing attention and honoring and engaging the task forces in that, and that will be one of our high priorities for 2023. We don't want it overkill, but that's basically where we are. We can do it, Noah. We've been very successful. Somebody, when we first started in 2015, a major organization said, oh, they won't be around for 6 months. And here we are celebrating our 5th banquet and honoring people. Thank you for your time. I don't see any names in the chat, but please, and if you can always call me. Our other co-chair is Ray Sells, and I may not have mentioned his name. Thank you very much. And I've stayed within my time, I believe.
All right, we want to thank the hard work of the Banquet Committee and our 2 chairperson, co-chair, Paulette Coleman and Ray Sell. And we're looking forward to the support. We do want to thank Mike. He has put a lot of information that people want to know about the banquet. It will be in your chat. You can download that information and it will help you, and you can take it to your individual congregation, unions, and congregations. At this time, I want to ask our young adult who would like to make a special appeal to Noel tonight. And Brian, do you see any of the young adults on the young adult caucus?
I do. I think Isaac Ackerman is on.
Okay, then he can.
If he's ready to go.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I will send a text message.
Apologies, I'm here.
He's speaking now, but he's having the difficulties. It's Isaac.
Can
I think he has a bad connection.
We can see you, Isaac. We cannot hear you.
And Isaac, what we will do,
my
if you are able to
internet
come
is
on,
unstable.
we'll call you at a little later.
Hear me?
No, we can't hear you. So we're gonna give you opportunity to speak when our task forces will speak. So maybe your connection will be a little better by that time. So we'll call on that, and Brian, don't let me forget to call on him at that time. Okay, at this time, Mike, you want to separate us into our individual groups?
Yes, sir. Before that, I think Ron, did you want me to put those questions in the chat for people to consider during their breakout? Is that what you were asking me?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I'm going to put them in there. Tell them briefly what these are and what they need to do with them.
So when you have your conversations at your congregation or in your neighborhood, just talking about the importance of a moral budget, these are some questions that you might use to get the whole conversation started and focus on NOAA's budget requests as examples of what we mean by a moral budget that reflects who and what we value as a city. Can also say that by next, actually, we can make this available, I think, on the website. We do have a one-page flyer that has the information about the budget as concisely presented as it can be on a single page. But these questions are just see how if they feel like things that you could actually say.
But you especially wanted people in the breakouts to do those other the other questions that were on your slide.
Right. Yes.
Is it possible you put those questions in the
I
chat?
can do that. I'm doing that as you asked.
So these are the priority ones, the ones that Ron is about to put in there. And then if you've got time, you can do these discussion questions that I just placed in there.
Let me get back to a big screen.
Okay.
There they are.
Okay, does everybody see those questions? Those are the things that Ron would like for you to do in your task force breakouts. They're in the
And
chat.
Mike, when you
Yes.
break out, persons who did not sign in earlier, tell them what they need to do.
Okay. Well, we're doing the breakouts just a little different than we used to do. I'm going to allow you to pick your breakout. Now, in just a second, right now, I'm opening the rooms. So hopefully you all see a box pop up or some kind of message that says you can choose the room that you want to go to. Do some of you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
All right, well, you just pick the room that you want to go to. You click on the thing that says join. And then if any of you are having trouble with this, just hang in there with us and I'll move you into the right room myself. Anybody having trouble?
I
am.
am live.
Yes.
Hey, Brian, can you go ahead and start the meeting?
I sure can. I sure
All right,
can, yeah.
Let me
Thank
find
you.
your, Liza, I'll put you in there just a minute.
Laura Dennison is having trouble.
All right.
Arlene Tuckman is having trouble.
Okay. Right now, this is supposed to be easier. This is definitely supposed to be easier.
Cheryl
Right.
Major trouble. Okay.
Just
All
go
right.
down to the breakout room tab and it will pop up.
I'm also having trouble.
All right, there should be a breakout room tab down at the bottom of your black Zoom layer there. And if you click on that, you should be able to see these things.
I don't, it's not available.
All right, well then hang on just a second and I'll put you there.
Yeah.
Could you put me in criminal justice, please?
All right, who is this? Who's speaking?
Robin Kimbrough Hayes. Thank
All
you.
right, just didn't recognize you, Robin.
That's all right. I have Alan.
All right. And I know Paulette Coleman wants to go to affordable housing. Kitty Calhoun, you're going to education, right?
Right. Oh, there it is. All right.
Okay, Phyllis Sells, education. Charlotte West, where are you going?
Economic equity and jobs.
All right. Laura Dennison, remind me of where you're going. All right, Regina Davis is going to housing. All right, David Metter, you going to criminal justice? And Shirley goes to affordable housing. Juanita, where would you like to go? Which one of these would you like to go to?
Affordable housing.
All right, good choice, by the way. That's let me see if I can get it to cooperate here. All right, a box should pop up giving you that option. Laura Dennison, where did you want to go? Okay, Kenneth Lawrence, where did you want to go? Okay, I've done everything I can, but I have Ken and Laura. I still don't see where you want to be. All right.
Economic equity and justice is where I want to go. Laura.
All right. I think I just sent you there.
Okay.
It should have popped up and said that's where you were going. Did you see that? Oh, wait a minute. There, I put you in the wrong spot. There we go. Hi, Paulette. Did you want to go to affordable housing? All right. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I have another meeting and so I have to leave and it was getting a little complicated to leave.
Okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
All right. So you just want to go back in there?
Yeah,
Or? Okay.
um, um, who and what it prioritizes and where our monies are directed. And so that's kind of the concept around it. And so here in the chat are the list of, I would say, action items that Ron asked us to get commitments on. The first is to identify 2 members that would speak during the public comments period at the Metro Council meeting. You do have to, Mike's with us and he can tell us the rules on this. Mike, do we have to sign up beforehand to
Yes.
speak?
Yes, we need to sign up at least by Thursday afternoon of this week in order to speak next Tuesday. And it's really better if we can go ahead and sign up tomorrow because it's first come, first serve. You get to speak for 2 minutes.
Okay. And I know there's a link that's available to do that. So if you could find it, or maybe Martha can find it and put it in the chat.
Well, also, if you all decide who would like to do that, then a couple of us could meet with them and kind of go over it. So we're not just pushing them into the deep end of the pool here. We're happy to work with people and think out what do you really want to say, and we can help them get signed up as well.
Okay, so that's the first item. So let's just tackle these one at a time. Are there 2 people that would be willing to come and speak with some preparation help from several of us at next Tuesday's Metro Council meeting? Do people have 5 minutes, Mike?
No, just 2 minutes. 2 minutes at the council.
There's a 5-minute, it says 5 minutes, okay.
Okay, I think that's referring to something else. I think it's 2 minutes.
Okay.
No, it's if you represent an organization, you get 5 minutes. If you are speaking individually, you get 2. But, 2 gives a lot more people a chance to talk.
Exactly.
Okay. Are there any people that would be interested in being present and speaking before council next Tuesday with some help and prep from several of us? Anybody going to be around and available to do that?
I know I'm brand new, but with prep and training, if nobody else wants to, I'd be happy to speak.
Yes, we'll get you ready.
Yeah.
And that's Nick, right?
Anton Christian.
Oh, that's Anton. Okay, sorry. I see the name, but I saw both people. Thank you, Anton.
Thank you. Anybody else? Then I'll be the second person.
Okay, I can volunteer as well.
Nick, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Volunteer too.
Shirley,
Okay.
I think Shirley needs a medal for even trying to speak when she can't
Oh my
speak.
gosh, Shirley, that hurts my throat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I think we got him, Mike. We just need,
Okay.
we'll circle back with you all and talk through and kind of help prep you for that.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you very much. The next action is commit to attend the council meeting to support the moral budget and identify as NOAA members. And the way you do that is you just show up. If you don't have a little button, then Mike has these NOAA stickers he'll give you, and you can place it on your apparel. And then we sit together, and it makes a difference when they look out, when the council members look out and see a crowd of us there with our black and white NOAA stickers. So are there people that would commit to just being present for that council meeting next week, next Tuesday? Susie, great.
I will.
Gina, Kay.
I will. Nancy.
I'd need a sticker too. Or we should
We get you a sticker, Anton.
Yep.
Phyllis,
I'll be there.
Phyllis Rose, all right, and Martha Carroll.
Martha, great. Perfect.
What time do we need to be there?
Mike?
Well, if we want to hear our speakers speak, it's best to be there at least by 6:30. The speakers need to be there earlier. But for us to be there, the meeting starts at 6:30, and so it's really best to go ahead and be there. They usually do like approval of minutes, pledge to the flag, and a couple of small things, and then they turn to the people who are going to speak at public comment.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Outstanding.
The third one, commit to organize or participate in a moral budget conversation or conversations at your member organization, neighborhood, place of business, Starbucks hangout crew. It's commit to having a conversation with people that you come in contact with.
I see Carlene saying yes.
Carlene, Grace, thank you, Grace.
All right, Grace and Regina.
Regina.
And let's see, Juanita raised her hand. Did you have a
Juanita,
question?
great. Thank you, Juanita.
Did you have a question, Juanita, or you're raising your hand to say you'll do that?
I'm raising my hand to say I'll do that.
All right.
Perfect.
Quick question, because I may have missed this. So are we just meeting up with folks and just taking a photo like for the social media campaign, or are we also like, just talking to them about it? Are we making an ask of them?
Yes. It was put in the chat just to run, excuse me. I put it in the chat and it's numbered 1 through 7. And it's like getting them to talk about, have you heard about budgets as moral documents before? What do you think about that? Do you think there's any value in talking about our city budget as a moral document? So it's like, we want you to engage them around this. We don't want you just to say, here's what Noah wants, go do this. I mean, we want them to get engaged. Does that make sense? And
yeah,
there
absolutely.
is,
Thanks.
of course, there is an ask. It would not be Noah if there was not an ask. Okay.
So when you're doing that, and the idea is to get the conversation going and to learn from each other and what you believe is important, for our folks in our community, and see what others think. And then remember, if you can, to take a picture.
Yes, definitely. So I was writing names down. I got Carlene, Grace, Regina, Juanita. Were there others that said you wanted to do that with your, Martha?
Martha,
anybody else? For those of, Stacy. For those of you who are active in congregations, this could be a great Sunday school question.
yes, I was thinking the same thing.
All right, let's see.
So I'll commit to that within my class. We're in the near future.
All right, Haley, are you volunteering too? Haley Tressler? I see a hand up. We're going to assume you're volunteering. Okay, anybody?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm around children also, so.
Children.
Well, but it's good to be around children, so that's.
Yes.
Thank you, Haley. All right.
The next ask is to commit to contacting council members, and I would say also the mayor's office, asking their support for our NOAA budget request. And Mike does a really good job of crafting a good message to be sent by email. And then when you call, if you want to call and have the conversation, you can use that message. So you don't have to create a message. Mike will write us a message that we can use or modify for our own purposes, and he'll provide that for us. So I think, do we have a show of hands on that? And I'm going to start, I'll raise my hand because most of us do that, reach out and send emails and make phone calls.
I see Gloria Rose put her hand up a little while ago too. Gloria, was that for having a small discussion in your congregation or group? Was that what that was for?
That was to participate at the meeting.
Ah, okay, good. We've got you signed up.
I'm sorry, I'm just behind in everything, trying to multitask here.
No, you're fine. You're fine. All right.
So Mike, I think we've completed that activity
All right.
and we have a good group of volunteers.
Well, what we'll do for sure is after this meeting, you know, we'll, as soon as we have more information about some of this, I'll email it out to this group right here because I see who's in this breakout. So we won't, just keep your eye out for emails and we can stay in touch that way.
Okay, okay. So we have a little bit of, I think the agenda showed that our time ran until 7:40. Am I right on that? Shirley, she's nodding her head. Okay.
Yes, 7:40.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time. So I'd like to Martha, if you would provide time for Martha to give an update on a latest action that we were involved in this past Thursday called the Rally for Riverchase. And Martha was the lead speaker on that. So Martha, could I turn that over to you to speak about that?
Sure. We had a good turnout. We had hoped this was going to be the rally where the council, followed by a council meeting where they would be making a decision about Riverchase. We have not completed the community benefits agreement. We're close. It's going to happen, I feel sure. But we decided to go ahead with the rally anyway to get our perspective out there. And a good group met, and basically we explained why this community benefit agreement is absolutely essential. We cannot guarantee long-term affordable housing without it, or racial equity, or good, fair jobs and safety at the work site. So we are pushing for that CBA, and at the last minute, CREA, the company that bought Riverchase, called David Rutledge, who is with Leuna, and talked with him about negotiating further. And so they've come back to the table, and I'm happy about that. And it's just taking a little longer than we hoped, but the enthusiasm was great. And also it was good that we heard from Riverchase residents. One woman who planned to be there was too ill and actually was at the doctor's office all day, but she wrote a speech that someone else read. And another woman who lives at Riverchase and hasn't found the housing yet, she spoke about the trauma of trying to find a place when there's just not anything available. I noticed that our vice mayor sat in on part of that meeting and listened. I was glad of that. Sean Parker he deferred again. He is not going to present this project to council members until we have the CBA in place. And so I really appreciate his support. And I feel like the support of the city as well. I think there are a lot of council members on board. Hey, do you have anything else to add, or?
No, the community benefits agreement is it will be a legal binding contract, just to get a little background on it. So language and words matter. And it has to hold for 30 years because that's the commitment that this current developer is making, that 200 units of affordable housing will be available for the next 30 years. So it's one thing to have conversations and have agreements in verbal conversations, but when lawyers begin writing contracts and put words in contracts, then all of a sudden, sometimes meanings change and they can be interpreted differently. So that's been the challenge. I am on that negotiating team, and quite frankly, that's the challenge. So there are conversations, and yes, we understand, we agree, and then you get a draft, and then the draft that they wrote doesn't reflect your understanding, and you have to go back and press again. It's just a challenge because we're dealing with a private entity that intends to sell this 14 acres down the road in 5 years, and they won't be the owner for 30 years. So it is, community benefits are great, but they are heavy lifts, and they require consistent persistence is the best way that I know to put it. In the state of Tennessee, it's very difficult because of our laws and the makeup of our current legislator. But Martha believes that it's going to happen. We're going to get it done, and that's where my faith is. Any questions? There are, in terms of the number of tenants left, there's about, as we understand, I think about 60 that are still there. 63, Shirley? Yeah, that are still there, waiting to move, and there are housing navigators working with them. And the developer is even paying, the developer has invested a lot of money to help the best that this company can. Tenants have a soft landing, or the best that they can wherever their next home or apartment is. Any questions?
If I could just add one word to that. The people who are left are the people who have the most difficult problems. They have
Yes.
jobs where they need to be located closer to their jobs. They have to be there early, or they have physical issues, or they have enough kids that they need 3 bedrooms. And apparently there are no 3-bedroom apartments anywhere in Nashville left. So it's not just that, there's help available, but if there are no houses, there are no houses. And that's kind of where we are for some of these people.
Yeah, it's harder for large families.
Yeah.
Kind
On channel 5 tonight, they said, I think 48 people left. I don't know if they have a new number, if some others have moved out, but
yeah,
still a
And
problem.
if anybody would like to see the whole video of Martha and other people speaking at the Metro Council, it's on our Facebook page. It's a little hard to hear, but Martha's the very first one up, and you can hear her.
Yep. Yes, she learned how to speak in that preacher training, whatever that was. And just a quick, I don't know if there's a link to it on the Facebook page or not, but the virtual community conversation that was held just recently was a success. We feel like it was a success, and it was a very informative video. And Juanita's was part of that. She spoke by video, a testimony, gave a strong testimony, which is powerful, had a good impact. So if you would like to go back and watch that, it's less than an hour, but it's very informative. And Mike, is it on Noah's website?
It's actually on our Facebook and it's on YouTube. I'm about to put the link to the YouTube one in the chat because that's the best quality.
Okay. And Nancy Kolowic's with us. So Nancy showed up to the rally. Thank you, Nancy and Doug, for being there. We appreciate that moral support.
You're welcome.
Standing with us.
Here, I just put the link for the video. This is a video of a meeting that we sponsored along with Age Well, and Turk people were involved, as well as a couple of other groups. It was a meeting we sponsored with Metro Council, and we had 11 Metro Council members there and 45 of us. So I thought that was pretty good, but it's like Kay said, it's a very short, relatively short video. It's about an hour, and it has some really good things on it. I encourage all of you to go look at it.
Yep, and the beginning of it has a powerful slide with good data points on it. I think I gave those to you, Isaac and Anton. I think I gave some of that to you, but it has some good data on it.
Steve Vinnick is pointing out that 11 council members is pretty good to get them to turn out with us. Now, the key thing is going to be what we've discussed, and that is to continue to contact those and others. Each of you all have a council member, and your council member will listen to you better than they would to me or Kay, unless because it's your council member.
Yes. Yes, and I will say my council member now does pick up the phone and he says, well, hello, Kay. You know, I guess I've been squeaky wheel enough, but they will remember if you call them often enough. And that's what makes the difference. I was talking with another NOAA member today, and her council member is not a strong supporter, but she has begun to vote on issues that are important to NOAA, particularly around housing recently. And all that's just because Elaine keeps talking to her. So that's a positive.
I also put in the chat just a little while ago, a summary of, it's a one-page summary of everything that all the task forces have been doing. Because I know some of you like to spread that around in your congregations or your groups. And for me, it also helps just to see it on one page. If I can see it on one page, I could probably understand it, you know, but if it's going to be all spread out, it's hard for me.
Yeah, that's a really good tool just to keep handy. So thank you for doing that, Mike.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions about the budget process coming up? Right now, they are in hearings, as they call them, where department chair come in and speak about their budget request and ask. That's going on as we speak. And that happens during the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. So that's going on. And then the budget has to be, it's typically voted on by mid-June or the second, no later than the second meeting of the month, because it goes into effect in July.
We also learned something else they're doing slightly different this year, and that is each council member gets 100 points. And if they really want something, they put 10 points, 20 points, whatever. They'll go down the list and say, okay, I want 50 of my points on this thing, or 20. So it's a way of ranking them. And then they add all the council members' wishes together. So if you talk to your council member, what do you want to say? Do you want to say, oh, I only want 1 point on affordable housing? Is that? I don't think so. I think you want to tell them you need as many points as we can get on affordable housing. 100 points if we can.
That's good to know, Mike. So we can put that in our email message.
Okay.
I had a question about our affordable housing slide during the presentation, where there aren't any figures by the housing office staff or the senior housing coordinator. Do we have numbers in mind for that, or just?
We didn't have, we know the request from the housing director is for 4 staff.
Mm-hmm.
She made that request. We didn't have a number to put there. She didn't give us a number, but we know that her request is an ask for 4 staff members.
Okay.
And so we just had to list it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the housing coordinator for seniors is a new thing that we're advertising for. And we don't have a budget number yet.
Okay.
We're just starting on that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some of that came from AgeWell, which used to be called the Council on Aging. They said they get so many calls from seniors saying, I don't have a place to live, or where, you know, so they're getting a lot of calls like that. And that's one of the reasons for wanting a senior housing coordinator, and also for that Silver Nest thing that would help people in sharing, home sharing. All right, we're going to wind up in just a couple of seconds here. I think you got 13 seconds.
Countdown.
Or you can leave. You can push the leave room button at the bottom too.
See everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Okay, I believe everyone is back at this time. We're going to get started with our task force. But I'm going to, Isaac, are you ready at this time?
Can you hear me?
Well, we can hear you now.
There we go. Sorry about the internet trouble before. I'll keep it short and sweet since we missed the time before. But yes, we want to make sure that young people are represented here in NOAA and here in Nashville. So especially if you are somebody between the ages of 18 and 34, or if there is somebody in your membership organizations, in your congregations, in your unions, and your neighborhood associations that are excited about getting involved with doing justice here in Nashville, please, please, please encourage them to come join the Young Adult Caucus here at NOAA. You can reach out to just about anybody. We'll hopefully filter those young people into getting to be a part of what we're trying to grow and get some good networking between young people here in Nashville who care about justice. So please, please, please be reaching out to different folks in your membership organizations and send them our way.
And Isaac, would you mind putting in how they can contact you? Would you mind?
Absolutely.
And you can put that in the chat.
There's my
All
email.
right. Okay, thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Okay, we will begin to call for our task force, beginning first with affordable housing.
Well, first off, we'd like to tell Ron that we got commitments for every one of the action items on the list. We got them all, and we got names for all of them. So we're happy about that. In terms of NOAA's work, we had a successful virtual community conversation on April the 26th, I believe it was, at noon with Metro Council members as well as community members. It was well presented. We had great testimony along with really good data and comments and good comments at the end. So we think that went off well. There's a link in the chat and on NOAA's, it's on YouTube, where you can go watch that if you so desired. It was held over the noon hour. We think that's why we had good attendance. And I encourage you to go watch that. In terms of other activities, our a primary focus the last few months, and particularly the last month, has been negotiating a community benefits agreement with the developer that's redeveloping Riverchase apartments in East Nashville, tearing down 200 units and planning to build back 1,100. And the community benefits agreement is focused to secure 200 units of affordable housing, commitments to worker safety and job site conditions and pathways to good jobs. We had a rally for Riverchase last Thursday at the courthouse, where we had hoped to celebrate that agreement, but the language and lawyers, we weren't there yet. We feel like we're going to get there. We believe we will. And we thank Martha Carroll for always giving rousing remarks. And she was a primary speaker at the rally at the courthouse last Thursday.
Reverend Lester also brought some power with quoting scripture and just doing a wonderful job.
Oh, yes, he did. I'm sorry, I overlooked Reverend Lester. Yes, he did. And he really took it back to what are our values? What are our values and how are we living those? And he reminded us of that. So we're so thankful that you were able to be with us, Reverend Lester, and speak. Between you and Martha, I think people get the message. Thank you.
Education Task Force. Liza.
Sorry. Okay. Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So historically, most of you know that NOAA has worked in Davidson County, but in the past couple years, the Education Task Force has stepped up to work also at the state capitol on the Hill. And we had some success this year. The TISA, the Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement, passed. We were not at all happy about it when it started out. There were some amendments offered, and we were instrumental in helping some of those amendments be offered and actually get on the bill. And so some success, definitely, but not as much as we would want. So we've still got work to do on that, and we'll be letting you know about further work as it arises that we need to do to keep the schools in our whole state funded, or well, to get them funded decently, and especially here in MMPS. The Academics Committee of the Education Task Force newly has a seat on the Equity Committee of the school board. So this is an achievement that we're excited about. And they are working on some great strategies to hold the district accountable for equity in all areas, and especially in advanced academics, but as well in discipline and all academics. So we're proud of them for doing that. The SEL committee is still looking for data. That seems like our never-ending journey from the school board about discipline and racial disparities in discipline, not from the school board, from the school system, sorry. And our ask in the moral budget is for the advocacy centers to continue, budget for the advocacy centers to continue, and the restorative practice assistants to be put in place in the middle and high schools this coming fall, and for continued funding for those things, because those are very, very important for our students here in Nashville, and that's our social emotional learning committee. The task force did a survey of all the school board candidates before the primaries. Not all of the candidates chose to respond, but the ones that did, we published a paper stating what they believed in, and I think that was very helpful to people voting for their school board candidates. And I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Criminal justice.
Reverend Thompson, I just want to say real quick on the moral budget stuff. The Education Task Force did get speakers, and we got folks to turn out and people to do discussions. Did we get that?
Yes, all of the above.
We got it all done.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we hit that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Criminal Justice Task Force.
We also have speakers for May 17th, and we discussed the morality of HEALS as a proposal, as a program that would save lives, that would prevent people getting arrested or shot. So the morality of that is obvious. We were told by our member, our task force member, who is now a judge, Robin Kimbrough, that all of the judges now are going to be handling mental health cases. There won't be just a mental health court that deals with that, but all the judges now are going to be dealing with that. So there's going to be a lot of education with all of the judges around mental health issues. And I've even been approached by one of the other judges to have some education in that regard. I've also talked with the Partners in Care Stakeholders Committee about doing community and public education around mental health issues so that the general public better understands what mental health issues are, and we can reduce the stigma, thereby helping people get their needs met a lot more quickly and find those resources that would help them probably avoid a crisis. Criminal justice is also looking at doing some more forums as we approach the August primary and the general election in the fall. So we'll be bringing information about that to the NOAA membership. And I think that's probably about it for right now.
Okay, thank you. Economic equity and jobs.
Yes, hi, this is Ethan Link standing in for Maura Lee. We had a great discussion on our group about the moral budget, reviewing what the agenda items were. We've got a couple of people who are raising their hands saying they'll be able to speak, a couple of more people that'll be able to be there. Everyone had a time for their individual group before that meeting that they were going to be able to address their individual group. So we had a good plan making session about that. And then finally, we also got a great update on the Nashville Living Wage campaign, where Amy Mayer reminded us that we needed recommendations for employers who would be able to register and become some of their new class of living wage employers. So I believe she dropped something in the chat about that to be able to reach her and the organization. If you know of any employers, either you work for, you do business with, or in your community that you think would qualify as a living wage employer, please send them her way.
All right, thank you. All right. IVE, Integrated Voters Engagement and Recruitment.
Dick Williams. I was volunteered to report, and we spent the last legislative session keeping ourselves informed on some of the election bills. There were a whole lot of them, some of them initiated for the wrong reasons about the 2020 election, but happy to report that none of the real bad bills or bad bills at all passed. A couple of good things, paper ballots and an audit. And personally, I'm very happy the campaign finance bill passed. We had a small group tonight, and we've all committed to at least come if we can and participate. We felt our group probably should defer to the task forces on this activity, and that we would be supportive of that, but not have a speaker from our group, but we would participate. We were very happy to be joined tonight by Timothy Hughes, who shared with us and now with the broad chat various valuable resources, one of which was the link to the live stream for Metro, which should include the May 17th meeting for anybody that couldn't come. That link is for the Metro YouTube link, which has actually 2 channels when you get to it. If you click on the right one, you can see various Metro department activities, including the council and the Election Commission. And then he also put in a link to a budget moral document, which is an activity that we're participating in, but we didn't invent it. And a local example, he calls it, is Stand Up Nashville, which is doing a great job in Nashville. And that link will show you a lot of valuable resources that relate to it. And finally, he put in what I think is what I've seen before, the Metro one-page, Metro Election Commission one-page list of all the elections this year, including the May 3rd that we already had, but the August, which includes primaries for the state legislature and several other races. And then, of course, the November election, which is the general election for state legislature and governor and other races. That document is very valuable. That's most of what we did. We're with you, but not speaking at May 17th.
All right, thank you.
Reverend Thompson, I'm sorry, Reverend Thompson, could I ask that the task forces send me the names in the chat of who's going to be speaking? Because we really need to get them signed up to do that tomorrow if we can. I've got the list for affordable housing.
Okay, then.
Oh, thank you.
And the task force can get that information
Yes.
to you. Just before we close out, we're gonna ask Ron to finish his part with respect to the deep dive.
So thank you. That was the first thing was if you had any questions or concerns left over from your task force meeting, just put those in the chat and I will do my best to respond. Please send the names of the contact information, especially for the speakers, to Maura Lee or to me or to Mike, so that we can get that taken care of. That is in old Stephen Covey language, that is both urgent and important. Thank you for your cooperation, your support, and we look forward to seeing you and your moral budget signs on social media. Thanks again for all of your support.
All right, thank you. And again, thank our campaign coordinating committee for once again enlightening us tonight.
Yeah.
We had just one announcement. Reverend Carol, can you make your brief, and then we will ask for Brian to give us a brief evaluation.
Sure. I just wanted to share that Maggie Cox, who's been very active with our the Affordable Housing Task Force, and went on any number of interviews at Riverchase to talk to families, died unexpectedly this past week. Her funeral was today. I'd seen her about a week before. She was in the mountains in the Smokies, hiking and seeing wildflowers and having a great time. So it's a big loss, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Okay, I'm happy to do an abbreviated evaluation if that would help us, which I think is, let's do a feeling word and then we'll do a political learning, if that's okay, for the sake of time. So let's go ahead and do the evaluation. And we always like to start with the feeling word, how you're feeling at the end of the meeting. If there was anything in this meeting, just think about what moved you and what you're feeling. I'm seeing gratitude, and feel free to drop this in the chat. Excited, optimistic, a couple optimistics there. Impressive work, enthusiasm, hopeful. Thank you, Tim. Invigorated. And Cheryl, would you say real quickly what feels invigorating to you?
Well, I think a lot of very good information with a different, very specific action plan. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, I see positive. So a lot of good stuff, here. So again, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and move to a political learning. I just want to respect the time. And But tonight, I think for me, the political learning is that we are, as people of faith, this is where we put our faith into the public realm. The moral budget is a very good example of how we live our faith in the public sphere. So we organize organizations, and this is why we do it.
Thank you.
That's that. Thank you.
And Reverend Sephora, can you close us in prayer, our secretary?
Let us pray. Gracious and Creator God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together as a body that's working on the road to justice. We pray for all that's on this line. We pray for the family that lost a loved one this week, oh God. And Father God, we just thank you that we can meet in civil manner to do the things that need to be done to make Nashville a livable community with a livable wage and affordable housing, and teachers and staff can work with a living wage. And this we ask in the matchless name of the most righteous. Amen.
Amen. Everyone be blessed.
Thank you.
Great to see everybody.
Good to see everyone. Thank you, everybody, for your support for the judicial race. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're celebrating with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what do you think, Ron and Regina? What do y'all think?
It went well. I think everybody bought in.
All right, we still can't hear you though, Regina. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. You can just put it in the chat, but I agree. I thought that went incredibly well. Ron, you were very poised. You know, you didn't have to rush or anything. You got everything out. You were right on time. Anyway, I thought the whole thing went really well. I thought people got engaged. Anybody else? Go ahead, Eugene. Go ahead.
You said Ron is such a teacher.
Well, there is that. Well,
great classroom management. Great classroom management.
Okay.
I guess I haven't lost it yet.
No.
I thought it went really good. While you were doing it, I was thinking, dang, I'm glad we're videoing this thing. I hope we can clip out that part of it or something. You know, there are several parts in there where people are talking about why this is important. Maybe we can cut a piece out or something. Yeah. I see Regina commented, she said, all went very well. And yes, Ron is a teacher. Okay.
Well, I'm going to mail that one pager to each of the task force chairs, but Brian is gone, but I know that Beth was working on a snazzier version of that. So I don't know if she's finished it. Maybe that's the one that could be available on the website.
And that's you're talking about the one pager with all the dollar amounts?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as she gets the latest figures. I swear I spent an hour on Saturday adding and adding and adding. I got different numbers every time, but I think they're right now.
You're an English teacher, right? Not math.
That's exactly right. So anyway, okay. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
See you later.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.